Hi guys, you're welcome to Halogenius Ideas. In this tutorial, I'll show you how to build a chat app using Django and Socket.io. On this same channel, we have a couple of chat app tutorials that I would like to take you through to show you the peculiarities of what we want to do today. Okay, so this is the channel. If you come to look for chat. So you should use this particular search icon over here to search through this channel only. This one will be searching through the whole of YouTube. So you can see this is the one I want to show you guys. Okay, built with Django channels and WebSocket. Okay, Django channels and WebSocket. What we want to do today, we are going to be using Django and Socket.io. Socket.io, I've done a lot of abstraction built on top of WebSocket, which we are going to be taking advantage of for this particular tutorial. So for this one, I did the backend using Django and WebSocket, then the front end using React. For this other one, it is just Django channels and WebSocket. Everything is happening in Django, the backend and the front end. Okay, so the guide that we are going to be using, we have this AI chatbot that I did over here using Django and React. Okay, so Django backend is handling the AI part, then the front end is basically the React JS part. So let's just move on. This is the guide that we are using for this tutorial. The guide is not very straightforward, but just follow along. I'll show you how to navigate the guide. Okay. Before we also move forward, I'd like to show you the relationship between Socket.io and WebSocket. All right. So Socket.io provides an abstraction layer and additional features on top of WebSocket protocol. The regular request response cycle that you have on the internet is HTTP and HTTPS, where a client will launch a request to a server, the server will respond back to the client based on some certain conditions if the pages are protected and all that. Okay, so Socket.io is was built on top of WebSocket protocol. So while WebSocket is a low level protocol for full duplex communication, Socket.io enhances this foundation with capabilities designed for building robust and real-time web applications. There are so many advantages that you have using WebSockets over using Socket.io over the native WebSocket. It has a lot of fallback, a very nice fallback mechanism, and some other enhanced features like automatic reconnection, rooms and namespaces, event-driven API, broadcasting, and multicasting as well. Okay, so that is it basically, and this is the official website of Socket.io, so you can check it out. You can check it out. Okay, so let's just get into today's tutorial. Now you can see that this is the guide that we are going to be using for this tutorial. This is what we will follow. Like I said, it's not very straightforward, and I think I made some errors somewhere, but I'll show you how to navigate everything. Okay, I'll show you how to navigate everything. Let me quickly show you how this app is going to work when we are done building it. Okay, so if I open my VS Code, so this is what I'm going to be using to run the app. But if you're on Windows, you can just manually run this and use Uvicorn to run it. Okay, but since I'm on Linux, I can easily create a bash script, then I'll run everything like using the bash script. So come here, and if I do ls, you can see the bash script over here, this run.sh that we have. Okay, so I'll just run.sh. So you can ignore all these other messages. Basically, it's trying to create all the migrations, but the migrations have they are already in the system. So I can just copy this particular endpoint, copy the link, and come to this particular place and run it. You see, this is what the interface will look like. So I'm going to be opening this particular interface on three browsers. Okay, so on three browsers. So for this one, I'm going to be logging in maybe Chris. Then I'm going to be logging in to maybe the London room. So join the room. You can see Chris has joined the room. That is what we are saying. Then if you come here, I can just say Daniel also coming into the London room. The London room as well. So join the room. You see, if you come here, it is sending a message that Chris has joined. It's also sending a message that Daniel has joined. But if you come here, Daniel won't get the message that Chris has joined before because Chris joined before Daniel. So come here, I can just say I am Chris from the London room, and I've sent it here, and automatically I get the broadcast over here. Okay, everything is happening in real time. Okay, I can also come here and said, okay, oh, this is maybe I can just say this is Hakim. Let me say um, Berio. Okay, this is Berio, and the room is maybe London room. Before I do that, let me also send a message from here. Hi, this is Daniel. If I send this message, you can see, hi, this is Daniel. Come here, hi, this is Daniel. So everything is working fine. Come here now, Beryl is logging into the London room. You can see Beryl is getting the previous messages, and it is also sending a message that Beryl um, has joined the room. Come here, Beryl has joined the room. Come here, Beryl has joined the room. Okay, so everything is working. Everything is working fine. Everything is working fine. Then from there, I can come here. Hi, this is Beryl. You see that, you can see everybody's getting the message in real time. Everybody's getting the message in real time. So now, what if I log Beryl out of the London room to the Manchester room? So come here, and I'm bringing Beryl to the Manchester room. So if I say hi, this is Beryl in Manchester. You say hi, this is Beryl in Manchester. Okay, this is Beryl in Manchester. Come to the London room. You see, the only message you're getting is that Beryl has left the room. Come here, the only message you're getting is that Beryl has left the room. So you can see that everything is working just as planned. Okay, everything is working fine. So I can just let me log Daniel out of this London room and bring Daniel to the Manchester room. So join the room. You can see, hi, this is Beryl in Manchester. Daniel is getting the previous message that Beryl sent. Okay, hello Manchester, Daniel is here. You can see, come to this other web browser because Beryl is connected to Manchester. Daniel's message in the Manchester room, um, Beryl is going to be getting it. But if you come here, um, I'm chatting as Chris. Chris will not be getting that particular message. Okay, if Chris come here to hi, where is everyone? Hi, where is everyone? You can see, hi, where is everyone? If you come here, they will not get the message. This other one too will not get the message because they are in different rooms. Okay, so that is what we are going to be building in this particular tutorial. So make sure you stay till the end, and let's continue. So this is the folder that I've created for this tutorial, and like I tell my students, anytime you're working on a Python project, it is advisable that you create a virtual environment, okay, to encapsulate that particular project in a separated environment. So I'll just open this in terminal. So I have virtual env installed on my system. You can just check one of the videos on the channel. Just look for virtual env, and it will show you how to do that. But I want to create my virtual environment now. So virtual env, then the name of my virtual environment will be venv. Okay, let me keep it simple, and you can see it. I've created my virtual environment. Okay, so I have to activate it before I'll be able to do anything meaningful on it. So cd venv, then bin slash activate. Okay, ls. Okay, bin lib and all this one. So I think it is not active, so you can see bin lib and all these ones. So now the next thing I want to do is to install all the required packages. Okay, all the required packages. So if you come here, Django is the framework itself. Now Python socket.io is the updated library for integrating socket.io with Django. Okay, Python socket.io. This is the updated library. Then Uvicorn is the server that we're going to be using to serve the finished project. Okay, basically you can use Daphne for this. In this particular tutorial, I used the Daphne server. I used the Daphne server, and I also used the Daphne server here. But for this other one, I'm going to be using Uvicorn. Okay, Uvicorn. I believe the Daphne server too should work, but for this one, I'll be using Uvicorn. Then for this ASGI ref, I'm going to be doing a lot of asynchronous operations. Okay, asynchronous operations in the sense that a lot of things are going on under the hood at the same time. Like I said, in the regular request response cycle, a client will launch a request to a server, then the server will respond. And when that response is gotten, the system dies down basically. Not necessarily dies down, the system now listens for the next request that will be launched by the client. The server then responds accordingly, then the system waits to listen again. But for this ASGI reference that we want to install now, a lot of things are happening under the hood. Okay, a lot of it's more like you having a handshake with somebody and you are keeping that handshake. Okay, there is something keeping that handshake there. The request response cycle, we can just term it as you shake hands and you go away, you shake hands and you go away. But in the case of the WebSocket, the socket.io that we want to build, you shake hands and you keep the hands shake, you keep the hands like that, so that you can easily transport messages both ways. Okay, from the client to the server and the server to the client. Because in this case, the client can send a message to the server and the server will broadcast the message to everybody connected to that particular room. That is part of what we are going to be achieving with the ASGI reference that we want to install. So let me copy the whole of this, bring it into Django, paste it, and run it. So just give it some time to install. Just give it some time to install. Still installing. Okay, very good. So it is done installing. It is done installing all the packages that we need. So the next thing I want to do is to start a new Django project. Okay, and the Django project I want to start. The name of my Django project is going to be DJ Chat Socket. Then I will create an app as well. The app I want to create is going to be chat. So I believe you know the difference between a Django project and a Django app. So the Django project is DJ Chat Socket. Then the Django app inside the Django project is going to be chat. So please just take note. So copy this and bring it here. So ls. Now I have DJ chat socket. So cd DJ chat socket. Then I'll now create the chat app. Okay. So paste. Let me open this in VS Code. So just give it some time to open that particular folder in VS Code. Okay, you can see the folder is open now. This is the folder opened in VS Code. So this is the chat app that we just created, and this is the project admin side itself. Okay, so that is it basically. Now let's just get into what we have to do. So for the allowed hosts, I'm going to be adding these two IP addresses, okay, as part of the allowed hosts, because I'm going to be running this project locally. If you're going to be running it on a live server, then you know what to do over here, okay. So for now, I'll just under allowed hosts. So if you come under settings.py, let me close this one. If you come under settings.py, this is allowed host over here. Let me so come under allowed hosts. Okay. So save this and come back to the guide. Okay, under installed apps, we are supposed to add chats. Okay, under installed apps, the way you will do in every Django project, chat, because this particular app that you just created, you have to include it here. Please, I'm using GitHub Copilot on my VS Code, so you are going to be getting some of those auto completion, but we are not using any of them. Okay, we are not using any of them. So moving on. Okay, now we continue by creating our models. So for the chat app that we want to create in this tutorial, we are going to be needing two models. Okay, the first one will be the room model, the second one is going to be the message model. So basically, we have a room and we have the messages that are sent to that room. So we are using the room to keep track. We are keeping track of messages that are sent to a particular room. Okay, each of the rooms we have messages that are sent to that room so that people in another room will not receive messages that were sent to another room. Okay, so come here, copy this, and if you come under chat, come under models and paste it. So you have the under the room we are keeping track of the name and the date when the room was created. Okay, then under the message we are keeping track of the room where the message was sent. Then we have the username of the person that sent the message, the content of the message. Then we have the timestamp, which we just default to the current time when the message was sent. Okay, and the ordering, we are ordering this particular model by timestamp. Okay, we are ordering it by timestamp. So the most recent or the least recent and all those things. That is what we are ordering. That is the criteria for ordering this particular model. And you can see the string representation of the model. Okay, this is pretty straightforward. Then under the views, we are going to be having two views. We have the login view. We also have the chat view. Okay, the login view is the view where the users will receive a prompt to enter their username and the room they want to log into. Okay, so you can see I'm picking up the username and the room name. So let me copy this and bring it into VS Code to get a better view. So I have to import room from dot models, import room comma message. So for this login view I have the post method and the get method response. If it is a get method, for example, you just go to your browser and you launch a particular endpoint that is going to be giving you this view. By default, it's going to be a get request, and the get request will just render login.html. We are going to be creating login.html and we will add the contents of the login.html very soon, but for now, just follow along. Then if it is a post request, then it will try to extract username and room name. Okay, username and room name, it will try to extract it, and the room name will be converted to lowercase. Okay, this is intentional because it is case sensitive. Let everything that have to do with room name be treated in lowercase. That is why I am forcing this lowercase method over here. So if username and room name are valid data, then it will create a session. It will create a session for the front end, username and room name. Okay, then it will create the room if the room doesn't exist. If the room exists, it will just get the room and go away, but if the room doesn't exist, it will create the room. So it will now return redirect the chat url, then the room name is going to be equal to the room name. This chat url I will show you very soon how this chat url, how we come about this particular chat url over here. So for the chat view, I'm getting the username. Okay, I'm getting the username and I'm saying request.session.get. Don't forget, I created the username session over here. And this is me basically getting that particular session. If the username is not valid, then it will redirect you back to login. So login is bringing you to this view, while chat is bringing you to this view. But I will show you very soon how I'm connecting the two of them. So then the room name is going to be room name dot lower. Okay, the room name is going to be room name dot lower. The room name we are passing it as a URL parameter. I'll show you also how we are passing that URL parameter very soon. So it will try to get the room. Okay, if the room doesn't exist, it will just return empty message. Okay, but if the room exists, then it will extract all the messages. Okay, this is basically telling Django that go to the database, all the messages under message, extract it, but filter them so that only the messages in the current room are taken, and order them by timestamp. Inverted means the most recent chat should be um, it is saying that the not the most recent chart should be at the base of the list, should be at the base of the list. Meaning that the earliest chart should be on top. Okay, that is what we are achieving over here. The earliest charts should be on top. Then I don't want to have all the messages in the database. I just want to have the last 50 messages. That is what I'm doing with this slicing command over here. Just the last 50 messages. If the room does not exist, then just give me this over here. Okay, I'm just catching that exception. So I need to format the message in a way that my front end is configured to receive and interpret it properly. That is what I'm having over here. So the username basically is going to be message.username. So I'm using a for loop over here. You can also do this using list comprehension. Okay, so but I'm keeping it simple. I'm using a for loop. So username is going to be for every message in these messages that we have extracted over here. So the username is going to be message.username. The content is going to be message.content. If you come under models, don't forget we have username, content, timestamp. We also have the room. Okay, so over here, username, content, timestamp. Now is system is basically, if it is a system message, this is where we are going to get, okay, this is a system message, because system also is sending a message. For example, if somebody just joined the room, the system is going to alert everybody that is connected to that room that, okay, somebody just joined, but that message will not be saved into the database. The only messages that will be saved into the database are messages that are sent by actual users, not the system. Okay, I'll show you how to do all of that. So if it is the current user that is sending the username, it will also send that information to the front end alongside the message. So now I'm creating a context dictionary, and that context dictionary I want to pass it into chat.html. So I'm bringing in the room name, the username, and the messages. Okay, and the messages. That is what I'm having over here. I think there is a misconception over here. Okay, I think this is the most recent messages. We are ordering by the most recent messages here. Then I'm inverting it so that it will show the oldest messages first. So please take note of that. Sorry about the oversight. So sometimes this can be quite confusing and all, but let's just move on. So the next thing that we want to do is to create our urls.py file. Okay, so this will begin to make sense very soon. This will begin to make sense very soon. So note, I'm not adding my urls.py file inside of this place. Okay, I'm not putting it in the chat app. I'll just put it directly in the Django urls in the Django urls file, the default one that comes with the project. So this is me importing from chat, import views. So basically from this chat over here, import these views.py, and don't forget views.py is giving me two functions, login view and the chat view. So under urls I can just bring the two of them, views.login and views.chat. Now if you come under login view, you can see that the name of this particular route is login. If you come under views and you come under chat, you can see if not username redirect login. So this urls.py will come and look, okay, which of these chats is named login, then it will route the user to that particular login view, which is the base view actually. Okay, which is the base URL. Then we have the chat view as well, named chat. Okay, and for this chat, you are supposed to pass in the room name. That is the reason over here I'm getting redirect to chat, then the room name equal to room name. That is the reason I'm passing this particular room name data to that particular view. Okay, so this is the urls.py file for this particular project. Now when I did the tutorial for Django channels and WebSockets, I had to manually create a route for WebSocket connection. Okay, I had to manually create a route for WebSocket connection. I had to create the route for the a lot of functions basically for the backend and all that. But socket.io, like I said, a lot of abstraction have been done for us. A lot of under the hood job have been done for us already. We just plug into socket.io, use all these things, and we run along with it, and it is production ready. Trust me. So you can easily scale it up, real-time web applications. So now let's go deep into the tutorial where we are going to be creating the socket.io server itself. The socket.io server itself. So this is the socket.io server. Socket.io event.py. So it will be under chat. Don't forget. Chat slash socket.io.py. So this is where the main work is. So if you come here, let me just copy everything and bring it in. Now, let's begin to decipher everything line by line. So this is me importing socket.io, okay, and from date time I'm bringing in date time and time zone. So don't forget I said the ASGI reference library. We are using it to create a sync to async. We are using it to create sync to async functions that can be used to perform all the real time processes that will be going under the hood, basically. Then from models, I'm bringing in room and username. Okay, I believe we know where this one is coming from. Just this models over here. That's where it's coming from. So then for the socket.io server itself, this is it over here. The asynchronous server. Okay, and the mode is ASGI. Course allowed origins. For now, I'm allowing all origins. Okay, like I said, I'm keeping it simple. I'm allowing all origins to connect to this particular socket.io server. Okay, so now for the connected client, I have an empty dictionary over here. I have an empty dictionary over here for the connected clients. Okay, for the connected clients. Now over here, I'm creating a get or create room sync to async. So room dot object dot get or create. Then this is thread sensitive. Just follow along. This is thread sensitive. So to create a message as well is also thread sensitive, which is message or object dot create. That is the function that you want to convert to from a synchronous function to an asynchronous function. Okay, so that the synchronous function basically you are doing everything line by line. From line 1 you are going to line 2, from line 2 you are going to line 3. But when you start to do all the sync to async, you are combining asynchronous operations with synchronous operations. Everything is happening at the same time. Okay, it is not as though one will happen before the other. Both of them can happen simultaneously. That is what I'm trying to achieve over here. Okay, real time communication. So on line 16, I'm bringing up a decorator. Okay, I'm decorating this function, this asynchronous function over here. I'm decorating it using the sio.event, which is our socket.io asynchronous server. Okay, so I'm saying that anytime there's a connection, a valid connection, it should show client connected. Then it will show the SID of that client. The SID is like the unique means of identification that socket.io associates with a particular client that have been connected to a particular room. Okay, a means of identification that socket.io assigns to a particular client. That is what is going to it will just print it. Okay, nothing much. It will just print it to show that okay, this client have connected. Now we also have I also have another event for the asynchronous function to disconnect. So it will just print client disconnected. Then it will also print the unique ID, the SID of that particular client. Now, if that particular client is in connected client, okay, if this particular SID can be found in this connected client that we have, then it will bring up the person's room name, okay, then the username as well, because the SID, the if you come under this particular connected client, if you want to print it, it's going to be a very messy dictionary. But basically, in this particular dictionary, you have the SID. Now, the The room name and the username of that particular SID is also stored in that dictionary. Basically, the SID might just be the key, and the values this will contain the values. Okay, so I'm trying to extract the room name and the username so that I can send a message that okay, so 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 and so person have left the room. Then after sending this message, I will delete that particular user from the list of connected clients that I have. This is not complicated, trust me. Everything is hard till you learn it. This thing that we are doing over here, trust me, it is very simple. It is very simple. So apart from that, I now have a function. I'm not decorating this function. Save and broadcast message. I'm going to be taking the name of the room, the username of the sender, and the message that is being sent. Basically, the content of the message. Okay. So the first thing I want to do is to get or create a room. Okay, where the name is going to be the room name. And don't forget, get or create. We have converted it from a synchronous function to an asynchronous function, such that it is thread sensitive. It is thread sensitive. So get or create a room, it will just pass name equal to room name. So basically, it will pass this into this particular function that we have over here. This particular function. Okay, it will pass it into the function. So which we have converted to an asynchronous function anyway. Then after doing that, it will try to check if it is the system that sent the message. Don't forget, a system can send message as well. Any message that the system sent, I don't want to store it in my database. The only message I want stored in the database are messages sent by the client. So if the username is not equal to system, meaning that the username is not equal to system, or has joined is not in message, or has left and has left is not in the message, then save the message to the database. That is what we are doing over here. Don't forget that create message, we have converted it from a synchronous function to an asynchronous function. Okay, and this is the function over here which is thread sensitive, and I'm passing this particular data into this particular function. Okay, which I've converted to an asynchronous function anyway. So then I'll take note of the timestamp. Okay, the message dot timestamp ISO format. All right, don't forget that this particular message that we have over here, if you come under models, this timestamp, it carries a default value. Timestamp carries a default value, so when I create this particular message, it will return that message, and after returning that message, I will extract the timestamp and convert it to ISO format. So that is after saving the message. But if I didn't save the message, then the timestamp basically will be datetime.now, timezone.utc, then I'll convert it to ISO format. After doing all that, then I will emit the message. Emitting the message means broadcasting the message. All right, emitting the message means broadcasting the message, meaning that everybody that is currently connected to this particular room will receive this message. Not everybody connected to the socket.io server. All right, socket.io server creates rooms, so everybody connected to those rooms will receive this particular message, and the kind of broadcast they are receiving is the message broadcast. Okay, every broadcast has a name associated with it, and the name of this particular broadcast that we are creating is the message broadcast. So the front end as well is going to be listening for this message broadcast every time the backend does this message broadcast, and that client is connected to this particular room, then they will receive this particular message. If they are not connected to this particular room, then it will just ignore them. All right, now I'm creating another event for join. Don't forget that we have two events here already. We have the connect and the disconnect. Okay, when the client connects, it will trigger this particular function. When the client disconnects, it will trigger this one. Okay, when they disconnect. Now, when the client joins a particular room, this is an event. Okay, the username is this, the room name is this. Then the connected client, basically, this is where I'm storing the user session. This is where I'm storing. Don't forget, connected client is a dictionary. Okay, connected client is a dictionary. So connected client, that SID, that the unique SID that socket.io will associate with that particular user, I'm bringing it over here in the connected client dictionary. Then I'm saying username equal to username, then the room equal to room name. This is the reason I can extract the data over here. You can see this is the reason I can extract the data over here, because this is where I'm creating that particular data. Okay, then I'll say await socket.io dot enter room. This is when the user now joins the room officially. After joining the room, system will send a message to everybody connected to that particular room that this so so and so person, this username, have joined the room. So that is what is happening with the join event. Okay, with the join event. So from the front end, if the user wants to broadcast, wants to create a broadcast, they can create a join broadcast. That is it basically. Okay, they can create a join broadcast. Then we also have another event for send message. Okay, we have an event for send message. So this is also another valid type of broadcast. If you want to create a broadcast, you create a send message broadcast. So if SID is not in the list of connected clients, then definitely you cannot send a message. It will try to go through this connected clients that we have over here. If the SID of the current user is not valid, is not in the list of connected clients, then definitely it will just return false. You'll not be able to send message. Okay, but if this is if the SID is in the list of connected clients, then it will extract that SID. And what is the content of the SID? The username and the room name. So it will basically say, okay, message equal to data dot get message. In the send message broadcast, which we are going to be doing from the front end, you will see how we are going to be passing this message in. Now, if not message, return false. But if the message is valid, then save and broadcast message. In this case now, we look at this um, when we disconnected. When we disconnected, you can see system is sending a message. Okay, and when we joined the room, system also sent a message. But in this case now, system also sent a message. But in this case now, it is the user that is sending a message. It's the user that is sending a message. Okay, it's the user that is sending a message. So the user can create a send message broadcast. Okay, then it will basically send the message to everybody connected to that particular room. So that is it basically for the socket.io server that we are creating for this project. Then moving on, we have the asgi.py file that we have to edit. So asgi, come to asgi. So if you look at what we have over here, Django is just serving the native Django application over here. Okay. By default, what is being served is the native Django application. That is what is being served here. But I can just come here. So let me comment this one out. Then this is what we are replacing it with. I'm importing OS, then django.core.asgi. Okay, import get asgi application, which is what basically what we used to have here. Now, I'm saying os.environ.set default. Django settings module. This is supposed to be DJ chat sockets. DJ chat sockets. Okay. So this is supposed to be DJ chat socket settings. So basically the default Django app is get ASGI application, which is the default ASGI application that we have. Now I'm going to append that default Django app with the socket.io server, then serve the two of them together with the help of the Uvicorn server. Don't forget, with the help of the Uvicorn server. So from chat.socket.io, which is basically what we have over here, okay, which is basically what we have over here, then import SIO. SIO is the socket.io server that we created, the asynchronous server that we created. Then application is going to be equal to socket.io dot asgi app, okay, then socket.io that we have, then the Django app itself. So basically, instead of serving the Django app alone, now I'm serving the Django app and I'm also serving the socket.io app, the asynchronous server. So both applications are going to be running asynchronously. Okay, they're going to be running side by side. They're going to be running side by side. So that is what is we are that is what we are serving now as an application from our Django server. So moving on, let us now create the client side. All everything we have been doing since is the server side. Okay, the server side setup. Now let's create the client side. So for the client side, I'm going to open my um, if you come here under views.py, you see that we have to create login.html. We also have to create chat.html. Okay, so if you come under chat slash template, chat template. So let's go to create it. So over here, I'm going to be having login.html. I'm also going to be having chat.html. Okay, but I want to keep the styling and every other thing inside a separate file. So I'm going to be creating a base.html file. Okay, a base.html file. So in my base.html, you can see the styling that we have. Okay, all the styling that we have. I won't go deep into the styling at all. So for the base.html, I'll just copy this, bring it here. Okay, so if you are very very familiar with the Ginger templating system, you will note that I'm creating block content over here. Okay, then I'm creating block for extra.js because we are going to be needing extra JavaScript for the chat.html where we are going to be doing all the socket.io emitting and receiving message. Okay, so save this one. You can see Django socket.io chat app. So everything is coming together. Everything is coming together. This is for the base.html. So basically, chat and login.html, they are going to be inheriting from base.html. So we don't have to write the whole of this anymore for login.html and chat.html. So what do we have in those two files? For login.html, it is pretty straightforward. For login.html, everything is pretty straightforward. All we have is just a card, join chat room. Then now this is a post form, and in Django, if you are going to be using a post form, you must add your CSRF token, which is cross site request forgery, I think, the token for it, to avoid all that. So the for the input, don't forget I'm taking the username and the room name. Okay, I'm taking the username and the room name, and this is the button to basically submit the form. So, and if you come under the views, don't forget I have um, under the login view, I'm taking the username and the room name. Okay, the username and the room name. That's the data that I'm extracting from this particular form that I have over here. This particular form. Okay, so this is everything for the login view. We don't have much to do on the login screen. So let me close some of these tabs because it is looking messy already. So I can close this. I think I can close this as well. Now let's come on that chat.html that has majority of the code that we are going to be analyzing right now. So for chat.html, so we are going to be having, don't forget, this also extends base.html. Okay, if you come under login, it extends base.html as well. So come under chat now. So it will just display the room name. This room name, we are getting it from, if you come under login, if you come under views, and if you come under the chat view, this room name over here, this context data, room name, that is where we are getting this particular data from, room name. Okay, and you are chatting as username, we are getting it from, I can close login.html actually. So we are getting it from this username over here. Okay, now for the messages, this is the messages over here, messages. So we are using the Ginger templating system to basically display the message over here, and we are displaying the message conditionally such that if it is a system message, there is a particular way it is going to be displayed. If it is the current user that sent the message, there is a particular way to be displayed. If it is the every other user in the room that sent the message, there is a particular way it is going to be displayed. I don't want to go deep into that for now. So for messaging messages, now if the message dot is current user, then it's going to be adding a class message self. If you come under base.html and you come under style, control F, message, self, um, self. Okay, you can see message self. Okay, so basically I'm conditionally adding a class. Then we also have message order. Okay, a conditional class as well. So the message.content, message.info, if it is not a system message and it is not the current user message or username, basically I'm just doing conditional rendering over here. Okay, and the timestamp of the message, I'm formatting it. Okay, I'm adding a filter for Django Ginger templating system. I believe you know what this is. This is just a filter. Okay, a data filter. So then we have the input form, the input form where the user is going to be typing their message and all that. So that is all for the regular HTML part. Now let's go to the JavaScript part. So for the JavaScript part, I'm importing via CDN socket.io library. Okay, socket.io library. If you go to cdn.js, Cloudflare, this socket.io library, I'm bringing it via CDN. Another thing I can do is to download the file, bring it into my project, bring it into my project, and but that's not it at all. Huh? I don't want to do that. So let me just bring it in via CDN. Now the room name is basically room name, but I'm filtering it, then I'm converting it to lowercase. Okay, don't forget the room name is coming from here. Then for the username is coming also from that same context data. Okay, now I'm using don't forget socket.io from this particular JS file that is going to be included with this particular chat.html. As a result of this CDN that I added, I'm going to be having the IO library, the IO object, basically the IO class. Okay, so socket equal to this IO. Okay, so immediately a user lands on this particular page, they are going to be broadcasting a join, they are going to be creating a join broadcast. If you come under socket.io event.py file, you can see all these events over here. Okay, the connect, the disconnect, the join, and send message are different type of broadcasts that the user can emit. Different type of broadcasts that the user can emit. They can create a connect broadcast, a disconnect broadcast. They can create a join broadcast. They can also create a send message broadcast. All right. So if you come under and don't forget that from the backend is also emitting some broadcasts. If you come under save and broadcast message, come here, you can see that the backend is emitting a broadcast. It's emitting a broadcast named message. The backend is emitting to the front end. The front end is also emitting to the backend. Okay, it is happening at the same time. Okay, it is happening at the same time. So this is me, the front end creating a join broadcast. Okay, now this is also the front end listening to a message broadcast. So the front end is emitting as per creating a join broadcast immediately you land on this page, and the front end is also listening to a message broadcast. So the message broadcast is coming from socket.io event.py. If you come to save and broadcast message, if you come here, you will see that the backend is emitting a message broadcast. It's emitting a message broadcast. So basically, the front end is listening for that message broadcast. Now, and when a new message is sent such that the backend have broadcasted a message to this particular client, meaning that this client is connected to that particular room at that particular time when the message was sent, then it will append that particular message to this list of messages that we have. It will just append it automatically. Okay, everything that is happening here will happen immediately the user lands on the page. Okay, but these ones are going to be happening after the user have landed. So it will try to it will get the message container, which is basically get elements by ID, the chat messages. This is the chat message. Okay, the ID chat messages. Then after getting it, it will try to get if the message is a system message or if it is the current user that sent the message. And how can we get this particular information? If you come under socket.io event.py, you will see the username, the message, and the timestamp as well. The username can be gotten as system or an actual valid user. Okay, so if it is the current user as well, we are going to be getting, we just say data.username equal to username. Data.username, we are getting it from the backend. Username, we are getting it from this place. Okay, so if it tallies, then definitely it is the current user that sent the message. Now, this is where I'm going to be if const message element equal to create element div. This is me trying to create the message element, the card for the message. Okay, the message element, this is where I want to create it. If it is a system message, just append system message class, then just put the system message inside the div. Okay, that is what you're going to do. And if you come here, system message will have its own class as well. If you come under base.html, control F, system, you can see system message, text aligned center, margin 15 pixels. So color is just the gray color, then the font size is going to be 14 pixels. Okay, so that is for a system message. But if it is not a system message, then we are going to be displaying it differently. Now, we are saying that if it is the current user that sent that message, then the class name that we are going to be adding to this message element that we created over here is going to be message self, else message order. So if it is the current user, then add message self. If it is not the current user, add message order. All these classes are available in this particular file that the chat.html is extending. So we also have the date time over here. Okay, don't forget that we are sending from the backend to the front end in ISO format. Okay, ISO format. So that ISO format, I'm creating a date object and I'm converting it to a local time string, and I'm converting it to 2 digits. The hour is going to be 2 digits, minutes 2 digits. So whether it's a system message or a message coming from the an actual user, when you are done deciding whose message it is and creating the message element, just append that message element to the message container. Okay, append the message element to the message container, then scroll top. Okay, scroll top, and the scroll top is going to be the height of this container. So basically, when you send a message or when a new message has been sent, immediately it will scroll just like you have in WhatsApp. Immediately you send a message, it will scroll. So that is the effect that I want to have. Now, moving on, for the message input, that is if you as the user wants to send a message, I'm getting the message input over here. Let me collapse this one. So basically this message input over here. Okay, you can see the ID message input, the ID message input. Okay, and the send button is this that we have over here, ID send button. So I'm creating a function send message. Okay, const message equal to message input value dot string. Now if the message is a valid message, meaning that the user typed a valid message, it will emit a send message type of broadcast. Don't forget, I told you that every event that we have over here that we've created in the backend over here, they are a different type of broadcast that the client can create. Okay, this is the type of broadcast that the client can create. The client can create a connect broadcast, they can create a disconnect broadcast, they can create a join broadcast, they can also create a send message broadcast. Come here, this is we creating a send message broadcast. We are emitting the message. So then we are just going to say message equal to message. Then immediately this message input, we are going to set the value to an empty string, meaning that clear it. Okay, clear it. Now if you come under send message, the send message event, if you come under send message event, it is taking sid and data. Okay, sid and data. Sid is what the socket.io will assign to that particular user. The data that we are sending basically is just the message. Okay, and that is all we need. So it will come to extract that particular message, then internally it will extract the sid and assign it as user. If the message is not valid, then it will just return false. But if the message is valid, the room name equal to the user. Don't forget that this particular user now, connected client, connected. Don't forget username and room name. Username and room. Okay, so it will extract the room and the username as well. Then it will bring in the message that is being sent from here. So that is what is happening over there. Then so send button dot add event listener. When you click on the send button, it will just trigger this send message. Okay. By default, you know that when you click on that send button, by default it will try to submit the contents of that particular form to the current page. But that is not what we want. Okay. What we want is when you click on it, just trigger this send message function, which will basically extract the message input and send it as a send message broadcast. And when it gets to the backend will decide who receives the message. All right, and even if the message is valid. So message input dot add event listener. So key press. When you press enter on your keyboard, it will also trigger the send message function. Okay, when you press the enter key on your keyboard. So const message container. Basically, I want when you land on this particular page, I want the message container to scroll to the bottom initially. Scroll to the bottom initially after adding all the messages and all that. So just scroll to the bottom. Okay, so that is what is happening in chat.html. So all the three HTML files that we need to create, we have to create chat and login, but base is basically where we are having all the styling. Okay, so moving on, moving on. Okay, now I think it's time to test run the app. Okay, now we can test run the app. So now we have to run our server. Now, I said this particular guide is not very straightforward. So for what we have to do now is that these models that we created under models.py, we need to register them in the database. We don't have any database at the moment, okay? But first we need to register them in the database. How can you register them? Very simple. All you have to do is basically run the command python manage.py make migrations. Please, what we have over here is this. What we have over here is this. It's an error from my end. Sorry about that. So when you want to register your migrations to the Django system, you just say python manage.py make migrations. Now to push the migrations to Django database to register it in the database, that is where you have um, Django Python manager.py migrate. Okay, the first one is Python manager.py make migrations. Make migrations is basically registering those migrations as files. Okay, it is creating migration files and it is just keeping it in the system internally. Okay, it is keeping it in the system internally, but to create the but to register those migrations in an actual database, you will run Python manager py then migrate. Now, after doing that, you will now run the server with Uvicorn. Don't forget, we installed Uvicorn here. We installed Uvicorn here. So that Uvicorn is what you're using to run the server. And basically, you do Uvicorn djchat socket.asgi.py. Then host is going to be this. Don't forget under your allowed host. If you come under your settings.py, where is settings.py? Your allowed host. Okay, if you remember your allowed host. So then after doing that, the port is going to be 8000. Then I added the reload flag so that if you want to keep developing and all that, immediately you make a change, it will just register it directly to the it will just update it hot reload just like you do in regular Django. But what I want to do now is that I want to create a run.sh file. If you're on Windows, you can easily do this. Don't forget, you will run this first, then you run this, then after that, you use this to start your server. Okay. But on my end, I'm on Linux. I can easily create a run.sh file. So the run.sh file is what I'm going to be using to run my project. So come here and in the project root where I have manager py, come here, create run.sh. So this run.sh, I can just copy this, and after copying that, I'll come here and I'll paste it. But don't forget, make migrations comes first. Okay, make migrations come first. So this is going to come first, then migrate. Then after that, Uvicorn DJ chat socket the ASGI, then application. If you come to DJ chat socket, come to ASGI. The variable that we are serving is what? Application. And initially, application used to be just get ASGI application, which is the default Django application. But now I'm serving socket.io asynchronous server. I'm serving socket.io asynchronous server alongside the regular Django app. So basically, the regular Django app is going to be handling all the HTTP requests, while the socket.io requests, which is going to be the web socket basically, socket.io is going to be handling all those. Okay, so that is what I'm having over here. But for every Linux user, you understand that run before you can be able to use this run.sh file, you have to make it executable. If you come here, ls, let me clear my terminal, it's looking messy. So ls, okay, so um now run.sh is giving me this white colored font over here. So, and you can see manage your py is green. I have to make this executable. So how can I do that? Chmod u plus x, then run.sh. If I do ls once more, you can see now it is green, so it is executable for this particular Linux Ubuntu theme. Now moving on, I think I can go ahead to start my server. Now don't forget that in this particular file, I'm running a bash script, and this is the preprocessor directive. I'll start by doing my make migrations, then from there I'll migrate. After migrating, I'll start my server. So come back here, and I want you to notice what will happen over here. It will create an SQLite database file for me. It will create it here. Okay, so after creating it, then I'll show you the content of that database file before we go to the web browser. So just run.sh, then it will start my server. You can see, piece of cake. So the first thing that he did is that he ran python manager py make migrations. That is where I'm getting these two from. Okay, so after running what I have on line 5, it is saying, okay, operations to perform, apply all migrations. The admin auth and sessions are coming admin auth content types and sessions are different apps that are installed by default into Django. So the ones I added is just the ones inside chat. Okay, the chat app, and under the chat app, don't forget I have room and message, so it will just commit everything to the database once and for all. Now let me show you what the database looks like. If you come under your VS Code extensions marketplace, if you come to there's a particular extension I used to view, SQLite Viewer by Florian Klampfer. Okay, SQLite Viewer by Florian Klampfer. So it will enable you to be able to view the file directly in VS Code. So you'll be able to inspect the file and know exactly what is inside. So you can see what I have under this particular database now. So these are the default tables that you have in Django. Okay, I'm not interested about those. But if you come under chat message, you can see that now I have the ID, the username, the content, the timestamp, and the room ID as well. If you come under room, I have name and the time it was created. If you come under models, you will see that name and the time it was created, that is what I have. And if you come under room, the room ID, the username, content, and timestamp. If you come under DB, the SQLite 3, that is exactly what I have under message. Okay, so we are good to go for now. All right. So let's go to the web browser and actually test. You can see that for now we don't have any connected clients. We don't have any connected clients. So let me just copy this copy link. The reason it is serving it on port 8000 is if you come to run.sh, you see I'm serving on port 8000 and the host is what? 0000. That is why I'm having 0000 port 8000. Okay, port 8000. So come here and paste. You can see what I have now. Join chat room. Enter your username and enter room. Okay, enter your username and enter room. So these are the two different fields that I'm having, username and room name. So the styling is coming from base.html. If you come under base.html, all the styling that we have, that is where the styling is coming from. But let's just move on. So I can just come here for the username. I can say Daniel or David. Okay, I can just say David, and the room name is maybe football. Okay, that's the room name that I want to enter. Now I need you to notice something. At the moment, if I come to dbsqlite3, if I come under message and I reload, I don't have any messages. If I come under room and I reload, I don't have any room. Okay, but if you come here and I join the room, you see you are chatting as David, and this is the football chat room. David has joined. This is a system message. This system message will not be saved to the database. Okay, it will not be saved to the database. If you look at what is happening over here, you will see that socket.io has created a WebSocket endpoint. Okay, that endpoint have been created, and you can see this connected client that we have. This is the SID that was associated with this particular client. No messages have been sent apart from a system message. Okay, David has just joined the room. So if I should come to my database under chat room and I reload, you see now I have the football room, and you can see the time that the football room was created. If I click on this, you see this is exactly this date time. Okay, so that this room was created now, and you can see the title, the name of the room is football. Now if you come under message, the system message that was sent was not saved to the database, just like what we have in socket.io. If you come under send and broadcast message, where is it? Save and broadcast message. If you come here, you see that system messages are not saved to the database. Now let us try to send a user's message. Come here and said, okay, hello football world, how is everything? Okay, and I click enter. I can also use this send button to send my message. What is happening under the hood? If you come here now, you can see this is what is happening under the hood. Okay, this is what is happening under the hood. It have accepted that particular WebSocket connection. Now I can transport messages from this particular client to the backend. The backend will now decide what the appropriate client to broadcast that message to. So how is everything? If I come here and I come under my dbsqlite3, now this is the chat message. If I should update this, you can see now David sent hello football, and the room ID that this message was sent to is the room with the ID of 1. If you come under room, you see the football room has the ID of 1. So everything is going according to plan. Okay, everything is moving according to plan. If you come here, see what is happening over here. Now let me open another web browser. Okay, another web browser, and from that particular web browser I will log in as Daniel. All right, come here, copy, come here and paste this. So I can log in as Daniel to that same football room. Okay, that same football room. So if I click on join room, you see that the initial message that David sent, it is coming up, and it is being displayed differently because it is not the current user that sent this message. So the message of the other users of the room, it floats to this particular direction, but the message of the current user floats to this particular direction. Okay, and you can see Daniel has joined the room. Guess what? If I should come here, you see Daniel has joined the room. All right, if I should come to see my console, this favicon.ico is just because I'm not having a favicon here, so you can ignore that for now. Okay, I think this is where you can modify it. If you come to base.html, come in the head session, you can just come here and add a favicon here, and you won't see that message, but you can just leave it out for now. It's irrelevant. Well, if you want to do it, it's fine. So Daniel has just joined the room. This is the message being sent, and if you come here, you see that another client has connected. Okay, another client have connected. Now that that client have connected, it have accepted this WebSocket connection, and you can see everything is working according to plan. Now let me send a message from this particular browser. I'm chatting over here as Daniel in the football chat room. Come here, I can just come here and say hello, this is Daniel. Hello, this is Daniel. Now come here. What is happening? You can see the WebSocket connection is still valid. Okay, it's still standing. All right. If you come to this particular, you can see hello, this is Daniel. Daniel sent a message and it was broadcasted. Okay, it was broadcasted to David, which is the only person connected to the room. David can now send a message. Hi Daniel, it is nice to meet you. You can see hi Daniel, it is nice to meet you. All right, hi Daniel, it is nice to meet you. What am I doing? Oh, sorry. Okay, hello, this is Daniel. Very good, very good. So come here. You see, hi Daniel, it is nice to meet you. And it is David that is chatting, and you can see the time that the message was sent. You can see the time that the message was sent. So now let me go to another web browser and connect as another person. Okay? Let me connect as another person. Maybe Hakim or something. Come here. That same football room, okay? Hakim. Then football. Join the room. You can see that every other message that every other person have sent. David sent a message, Daniel sent a message, and this other David sent another message. Now, hi, it's Hakim here. Hope welcome. Now don't forget Hakim has joined the room. Come here. Hakim has joined the room. Hi, it's Hakim. Come here. Hakim has joined the room. If you come to the console, you can see Hakim just connected, and when Hakim connected, an SID was associated with Hakim in that particular room. So you see that everything is working fine. And if you the database, come to the database, and if you reload this particular room, you see everything that is happening here is still all football. Okay, I've not created any extra rooms. Come under message and reload. Okay, you can see the message that Hakim sent. You can see the message that Hakim sent. So it's hi, it's Hakim. Hi, it's Daniel. Hello, this is. You can see everything is happening in that same room with the ID of one. Now let's create another room entirely. So from this particular user, I will go back to the beginning. Okay, so enter the username. Let me say Henry. Then let me say baseball. So baseball is the room I want to enter. Join the room. Henry has just joined the baseball room. Now let me show you something happening under the hood. When Henry disconnected, you can see it will show client disconnected. So you can see client disconnected. And the client that disconnected, look at the SID. This is the SID of Henry. Okay, and Henry disconnected. Now Henry joined another room and another SID entirely was associated with Henry. Okay, and if you come to the database, you will see that under room reload again, you see baseball have been created. All right, come here. Hi, this is Henry from the baseball room. So this is Henry from the baseball room. If you come here and come under messages and reload, you can see this is Henry from the baseball room. You see, this is Henry from the baseball room. Okay, so but one thing you will know is that this other two, the only message you will get is that Hakim has left the room. So the thing is that immediately a user disconnects from the particular chat room where they are connected, it will trigger a disconnect broadcast, which is what we have under socket.io. It will trigger this particular disconnect broadcast. Okay, this particular disconnect broadcast, it will trigger it automatically. You don't have to do anything from the front end to trigger it. Immediately you are disconnected, it will trigger that the client sent a disconnect broadcast. So that particular broadcast, meaning that they can't receive messages from that room at that moment via socket.io. Okay, So it can be as a result of network or something like that. So, or maybe you're closing your browser, or just like what I did over here, I just navigated to another room. All right. So this is it. This person, Akim has left the room, so they will not get any message that Akim is sending in the baseball room, simply because this is the football room. Come here. This is also the football room. Okay, this is also the football room. Akim has left the room. Now let me connect this one to the baseball room where Hakim is. So come here. And also, one thing I want you to note is that Firefox automatically took me to this particular endpoint, this IP address, okay, which is different from all these other ones. So if you come under allowed hosts, where is it? Settings.py. Settings.py. Under allowed hosts, you see what I have? Under allowed hosts. So that is why this can actually work as well. So I want to log in. What is the name of this guy? What's the name of this guy? This is David Daniel. Okay, so this is Daniel. Daniel, and the room is baseball. Login. So you can see, hi, this is Henry from the baseball room. This is the initial message that we had in the room before Daniel joined. Okay, and if you come here, you see Daniel has joined the room. That is the message sent from the back end to the front end. Okay, then after doing that, the next thing that will happen is that this guy can begin to send messages, and only the people connected to this baseball room will get it. For example, hi, this is Daniel sending a message in the baseball room. You can see, come here. Hi, this is Daniel sending a message in the baseball room, but David won't get it because don't forget Hakim has left and Daniel also has left the room. Okay, so this is a different room entirely, and this is a different room. So David won't get a message from this room. You can see how everything is coming together. So that is basically everything for this tutorial. That is everything for this tutorial. Like I said, everything is hard till the day you learn it, but this I believe is very straightforward. So don't forget to like the video and subscribe to the channel. The comment section is open for you to ask all your questions, so if you have any points of confusion, please you can just voice out. All right, so that will be it basically for this tutorial. Don't forget to also drop your comments. The comment actually encourages us, and I'll see you in the next tutorial. Bye for now.